Okay, the Italians have swept the Swiss aside 3-0 in Rome in Euro 2020. It could have been a lot more. And ironically, the Swiss actually started the game the brighter of the two teams. The first 5-10 minutes, they actually were on top, having the best of the early exchanges. But then Italy slowly worked their way into the game, playing their, well, exciting attacking style. And we thought they scored on 18 minutes with Chiellini. VAR, however, disallowed the goal. There was an accidental handball in the build-up, but under the current interpretation, it is given. It's unfair. I mean, Chiellini does go off injured as well with a hamstring strain, which I thought this could be a blow for Italy. He's their captain, talisman at the back. Bonucci takes over the captaincy, but it didn't really make a difference. They actually scored the first goal. Locatelli, that deep run, that is a brilliant run from deep. That is a very good late run from a midfielder, and it's a brilliant finish. He was brilliant. He should have had a hat trick today. He only gets the 2 goals, but Locatelli's first goal unlocked the door. And after that, every time the Italians went forward, I don't think the Swiss could cope. They were overrunning midfield and in defence. It's 1-0 at half time. It could have been 2-0. I think, in past years, Chiellini's goal would have stood. Had that goal stood, I think the Swiss might have buckled earlier, because the way the Italians ended up playing the second half, the Swiss just could not deal with it. It could and probably should have been more than 3 goals. Locatelli's second goal, the build-up play is brilliant. Even when the play breaks down a little bit, the Italians stay calm. He's in acres of space at the edge of the box, has time to control the ball, set himself up for the shot, and that is a pile driver from outside the box by Locatelli for his second goal. Absolutely brilliant. But the Swiss defence are so passive. They're backing off. They're giving him space, and well, what else can you say? Low and hard. Goalkeeper Jan Sommer is glued to the spot. Doesn't move. Into the bottom corner. The celebration by the players tells you what you need to know about that goal and what it means. They know they've won the game at this point. His contribution in midfield as a box-to-box midfielder, as a link player, was key. He wasn't necessarily the most creative player, but he's definitely an engine in that midfield, and he plays for Sassuolo, not a club that many people outside of Italy would have heard of. They haven't been in Serie A that long, but Mancini has decided to go outside the traditional clubs for this squad. There are players playing for clubs that wouldn't have been selected under previous regimes, and I think that's a good move by Mancini. He's going across Serie A and Europe, and he's trying to find players that would have been overlooked if under previous managers. Immobile gets his goal in 88 minutes, very similar to Locatelli's second goal. Again, so much space outside the box, no one closing him down. He has time to set himself, and that is also a pile driver. Sommer should do better. Gets a hand on it. Weak hand on it, and that seals the game. Even when they score the third, they're pushing for the fourth, and there's a fair bit of added time, and they're pushing for the fourth goal. The Swiss just couldn't cope. They were completely overrun. This Italian side, for me, with all the games played and how they played the 2 games, haven't conceded a goal and scored 6. And they have got 2 of the joint top scorers in the tournament as things currently stand. Immobile was brilliant down the right and down the left. He was interchanging up the front. The Swiss couldn't cope with him. They couldn't cope with Locatelli in midfield. But they were bullied at the back by the Italians as well. The Italians from front to back, they were pushing for 4. And other nations would have gone, right, let's just slow the pace down. No, the Italians were pushing for 4. There was no time wasting. It was constant energy, constant movement, constant pace. And they just ran the Swiss off the pitch. Absolutely ran them off the pitch. They were like a sieve down the middle. They couldn't cope in the wide areas. Run ragged. And that scoreline, I think, flatters the Swiss. That could have been 5 or 6. On another day, it is 5 or 6. And the Italians are the first 2 to qualify for the second round. And they look terrifying. They haven't lost in 29 games. They're aiming to break a record that has stood since 1939. That's how good this Italian side are playing right now. And the style they're playing is very un-Italian. no caution. They're throwing caution to the wind. They were pushing for a fourth. That's what is different about this Italian side. And they are my favourites for the tournament. As things stand, I think other teams have got to raise their game. Absolutely raise their game. But brilliant game, brilliant performance. That's put a marker down. There is no doubt in my mind that this Italian side can get even better. So there we go. Please place your thoughts below. It'll be very interesting to see what people have to say. That means Turkey. Yeah. Teams like Turkey, they have a chance to get out of the group because the Swiss have lost and lost badly, and that's a lot of goals the Swiss have conceded in that game. Yes, the Turks' goal difference is worse, but we'll have to see what happens when the Turks play the Swiss. That's a key game. Maybe neither side get out of the group because the four best third-place teams go through, and the goal difference of both those teams is pretty horrific. Thank you very much for watching. Place your thoughts below, and I'll have some more videos for you tomorrow on the rest of the games and other news stories that are breaking. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all very, very soon.